Let's take a look at the table on a TI-82 calculator. And this is my second try creating this video, so let's see how this how this attempt goes. Okay. I guess I need my tablet up. I was a computer programmer for 13 years and majored in computer science along with math. And this has kind of floored me, what I discovered with this. And I'll tell you about it once we get to that part of it. Okay. To understand the table, we're going to input this in. We'll press our y equals, clear, and then I'll put in my x squared. So x key, the x squared, minus 3x plus 1. Now, I'm going to go to my table setup. So I'll do second window, because I've been playing with this already. And you see where it says table min is 1, and then this triangle here is delta. Delta TBL, that's what it changes by. I'm going to change that to 1. Press enter. Now down here it says auto and ask. I'm going to press enter on auto because I want auto to be highlighted for both of those for now. Okay. Well, now if after I do that table setup, if I go to my table, which is above my graph, so I do second graph, then you see like one big T-chart. For example, x equals 1 gives us negative 1. If I were to put 1 in for x here, 1 squared minus 3 times 1 is 1 minus 2, or 1 minus 3, which is negative 2, plus 1, which is negative 1. If I were to put 4 in, 4 squared is 16, 3 times 4 is 12, 16 minus 12 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So you see it gives you the values. Okay. I'm going to up arrow, and you see I can see some negative values. And I can down arrow, and it's continuous, just keeps going forever. Now let's say I want to go down to x equals 2000. I'd have to hold that down quite a while. If I go back to my table setup, if I do second window, the table min is where it starts at. So I can put 2000 there and press enter. And now if I go back to my table, second graph, you'll see it starts at 2000 and increases. So a very quick way you can go to wherever you want. Now if I go back to, I'll do second window, go back to my table setup. Let me set that back to 1. This next one, delta TBL, that's what it changes by. I can change that to 10 if I wanted to, and press enter. And now if I go to my table, second graph, you see it changes by 10s. Okay, go back to my table setup. Instead of by 10s, I could have it change by hundreds. So I could change this to 0.01. You can have decimals there. Then press enter. And now if I go to my table, if I did second graph, you see it changes by hundreds. 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, and so forth. Okay. Well, this is if I go back to the table setup, second window, this is one of the nicest features, I think. If we come down here where it says independent, the independent variables are x value when we got this set up. So it says auto. I want to change that to ask. So I'm going to right arrow over and press enter on ask. And now if I go to table, do second graph, there is no numbers. It's waiting for me to input numbers. So like if I put 2 in, for example, and press enter, well, 2 squared is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 minus 6 is negative 2 plus 1 gives us 1. I can put in decimals. I can do 5.1. I could put in 9. You know, whatever I want to put in. Now as I keep going and inputting numbers, I'll reach the bottom. Now it does not scroll. When I reach the bottom and I keep typing in new numbers, it'll keep overwriting our last one. If you want to clean out this list, just do your up arrow key, and whichever one you have highlighted, if you press your delete key, it'll delete that entry and shift everything up. You don't have to clean them out. You can just keep typing and overwriting what's there, but if you want to clean them out, that's how you clean them out. Okay, now let's look at our second one. And write that down. We've got y is equal to 1/3 x squared plus x minus 2. Okay, now let's enter this in. So go back to my y equals, press clear. Normally how we would enter this in is you do 1 divided by 3, then my x key, x squared, plus x, minus 2. This is how I do it on every other calculator. And order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please, there's no parentheses. Excuse. It would do the x squared first. Okay, that's good. Please excuse my dear. Multiplication and division is you encounter either one from left to right. So going from left to right, it should do 1 divided by 3 first, and then multiply that by x squared. It's exactly what we want. But if I go to my table, and I'm going to put in a value. Let me do it by hand first, show it. We put in x equals 3. Well, I got y is equal to 1/3 times 3 squared plus 3 minus 2. 3 squared is 9, divided by 3 is 3, so we got 3 plus 3 minus 2. 3 plus 3 is 6, minus 2 gives us 4. Okay, well, let's go put that in. We'll do second graph. It's still in the ask mode. It'll stay that way until you change it back. And let's put 3 in. Look what we came up with, 1.037. It's not following order of operations. If I wanted to input this in, what you have to do, and I wish I could give you all the guidelines for this, but if you go to y equals, what you have to do when you're entering this in, I'll press clear to start over, you have to put parentheses around to 1/3. So I do beginning parentheses, 1 divided by 3, closing parentheses, times x squared. Now I could do a times here if I wanted to, or just put in x, then x squared, plus x, minus 2. Okay, now if I go to my table, second graph, look what we get. We get 4. TI-82 is not following order of operations. Is it's, what is it doing? Okay, it's let me go back here. It was doing a squared, I can see that, and then it was going through and doing the multiplication first and then doing a division. Well, that's not what order operation says. I was floored when I ran across this. Let me show this in a different calculator. Okay. This is TI-84 plus. And it'll eventually come up. Okay, so I'm going to press my y equals. And then I'll put in 1 divided by 3, x key, x squared. And get there eventually. Okay, there we go. 1/3 x squared plus x minus 2. So plus x minus 2. Now I'm going to do my table setup. So I do second window. I'm not sure what mine's set at. Okay, it's ask. So then I go to second graph. And see when I put 3 in, it gives me 4, which it should. I shouldn't have to put parentheses around the 1/3. That goes against order operations. Something to keep in mind if you're working with a TI-82. Maybe it just gives you the wrong answer completely if you use some of these functions. So it's a little bit scary. I was actually considering that if I could get the TI-82 to do everything I wanted to in class, that maybe I could use this as an alternative to the TI-83, TI-84. You can buy these on eBay, dirt cheap. There's some out there like $6, $12, and so forth. I guess the general guideline to give you when you're working with fractions is always put a parentheses around a fraction and see how that works. Now, I wouldn't say that is going to solve 100% of the order operations problems, but definitely it'll help some of the issues like this, because it's not uncommon to have a fraction before an x to a power. That's very common in algebra. Okay. Makes me wonder about some of my students now who miss problems. It's just like, did they really miss them, or did the calculator just tell them the wrong answer? Interesting. Anyway, if I go to second graph, if I were to come down here and put in like a fraction, if I do 1 divided by 7, you're not limited just putting in nice integers here and press enter. we get a decimal. This is a flaw with the table method. Has nothing to do with the design. It's just it doesn't work well in terms of getting exact values. This right over here, if I up arrow and right arrow over here, you can see more of the decimal, but that probably isn't all of them. It probably keeps going on beyond that, just guessing. It will not give you the exact value, will not give you exact fractions. There's a better way for getting that than the table method. But if all you're interested in is the decimals, then table is a good way to go. And to exit out, I do second mode. And that's an introduction to tables with the TI-82.